Just joking that Jen and I got the uniform message. Got it all. Well, thank you all. I think the first thing I need to say is thank you for marching. I think you should give yourself a round of applause because you showed up, you showed out, and you spoke the truth. I want to say thank you to every survivor that has come here today, whether you're a survivor or a survivor advocate. We see you and we appreciate you. We thank you for leading us as advocates on this journey, and we follow you on this march. Thank you. It's been said a few times, but I want to also say thank you to the professional advocates who are here today. Yes, these are people who train, who go to school, who use their personal experience, their lived experience, and who take the lead of survivors every day to save lives and rebuild them. And we need to say thank you. I want to thank you to Rep. Froelich, who I think is not, I don't know where she went, and to Majority Leader Duran, to Attorney General Weiser, who may have also stepped away, Mayor Johnson. Rosandum, thank you for being here. I don't know, go ahead. I don't know if people who don't live in Colorado, or if you're new to Colorado, I know so many of us come here from other places, you might not know how lucky we are in Colorado to have elected officials who take the time to tell their own stories, not in shame, not in silence, and to help survivors move from the shadows into the halls of government. We have elected officials here in Colorado who take the time to learn, who take the time to teach, who lend their voice to this message, to these people, and who vote with their heart and ours, and we need to say thank you. So after all my thank yous, I'm Roshan. I'm the Executive Director at Violence Free Colorado. What is Violence Free Colorado? Is that what I heard? Let me tell you. We're the state's anti-domestic violence coalition. What that means is we support over 55 direct service programs who are on the ground every day providing shelter, legal services, counseling, child care, health care to survivors. So we make sure that those programs have the funding they need to stay open and the resources they need to be what they are every day. We also work to make sure that the advocates in those programs have the best training, the newest information, and the opportunity to feel empowered in the work they do. Now, I'm here because it's Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and many of you have probably been to something like this before. And you've probably heard painful stories about abuse. These are often meant to alert you to the horrors of domestic violence. And you may hear shocking statistics that are meant to remind you that domestic violence is in every community. And you also hear stories of immense bravery that are meant to alert you to the strength and power of survivors. But this Domestic Violence Month, I want to take the story out just a little bit further. Now, many of you may have heard the story I did growing up about what domestic violence is, that it starts at abuse and it ends when you walk out the door. Is that a story anybody ever heard? In a movie, maybe an after-school special if you're old enough to remember those, right? Right? That when that survivor just plucks up the courage and walks out the door, the healing has happened. I'm here to tell you, as big a step as that is, it is not the last step in a survivor's journey. In fact, it's often for many just the beginning. For most people who experience domestic violence, the decision to leave an abuser, it isn't just about shared history or love. It isn't even about safety. It's actually about survival. For most survivors, leaving an abusive partner requires much more than the will to change. It requires information and it requires resources. It means having access to emergency shelter in the communities where they feel safe and in the moment when they're ready to leave. Feel free to say yes.
Yes!
It means having affordable health care that they can access when and where they need it.
Yes!
It means having access to a legal system that understands the complexity of domestic violence and supports them. It means having access to a job that pays a dignified wage so that survivor can live on their own and support their children.
Yes!
It means having affordable, stable housing where they can live, heal, and rebuild a future.
Yes!
It means having access to counseling to help heal the emotional scars left by an abuser, counseling in their language of choice,
Yes.
counseling for themselves, for their children, counseling in the crisis, and along the rest of their life as that long-term impact of domestic violence rears its head. Yes, it takes strength to leave an abuser, but it also requires resources and knowledge. And for most survivors, they get those resources and they learn that information from an advocate. Turn and say thank you to an advocate today. Advocates are housed across this state in programs that never charge a fee for service. I'll say it again, never charge a fee for service.
Yeah.
Programs in every county, in small counties, in small towns, in big cities, on your college campus, and in your high school classroom. These are the places that you can find a domestic violence advocate because of the work of funders, of state and federal funders, and of resources like what we're working for here on Prop KK. Now, advocates working in these programs are often a bridge to safety. They give survivors the resources they need, the hope they need, and this is the work that begins when the survivor makes a choice to leave. This is the work that often decides not even whether a survivor wants to leave, but if they can. Now, I use the word survivor on purpose because I know that not everyone who experiences domestic violence survives, and we want to honor those that do. I use the word survivor because for those who've lived it, the ones who get hit, the ones who got hurt, and the ones who watched and worried, that we're all impacted. We survive and we bear the scars. We use the word survivor because for those who experience domestic violence, surviving becomes a full-time job. Survivors don't just happen, they do. They survive, they work, it is a verb. They plan, they pivot, they research, and they reach out, and when they reach out, there is an advocate there to answer the call. Now, every year, tens of thousands, we've heard a little bit about the work that Safe House Denver and other programs do. And I want to just reiterate a few things that the majority leader shared. We are in a crisis, these programs across the state. Unless Colorado does something right now, we can't look for anybody else. Nobody's coming to rescue us. We've been on this train for the last 5 years, begging, borrowing, asking, pleading. If we don't do something as a state right now, programs that survivors depend on will have to make impossible decisions. They will fire staff. At a moment when domestic violence is on a rise, there will be fewer advocates. They will cut programs. At a moment when domestic violence is on the rise, we will have fewer opportunities for care. And for many, they will actually close. And who's most at risk of closing? Those in rural communities and those that offer culturally specific services. These are our most vulnerable communities. They need this support, and we're going to give it to them.
Yes.
So we can't stand here today and let this happen. We can't listen to these stories and then turn our backs, right? We have to do something. So what can we do? Ask me.
What can we do?
I'm so glad you asked. You can vote yes on Prop KK. In November, you have the chance to secure services for domestic violence survivors. Proposition KK will levy a modest tax on gun and ammunition distributors. Prop KK will create an ongoing funding source. I want to say that again, ongoing. We're not raising money once. We're going to raise a sustainable source of funding that will keep doors open for years to come. When you vote yes on Prop KK, you become part of a survivor's success story. You can make a survivor who leaves an abusive situation know that they have a safe place to go and a caring professional advocate who will serve them. Voting yes on Prop KK tells a survivor they are never alone. Prop KK tells advocates that their work matters. I'm voting yes on Prop KK, and so should you. I'm voting yes because no survivor should have to stand alone in a courtroom. Is that right?
Yes.
I'm voting yes because no survivor should have to stand alone in a hospital room. I'm voting yes because no survivor should ever hear that there isn't room in the emergency shelter for them. I'm voting yes because no survivor should have to choose between living with violence or living on the streets. I'm voting yes because no survivor should have to choose between deportation or living with a violent abuser. I'm voting yes so that no survivor has to hear that the services they seek aren't available in the language of their heart and their family. I'm voting yes because no survivor should have to choose between feeding their children and living with violence. You should vote yes because children depend on it. You should vote yes because families depend on it. Vote yes because lives depend on it. So you came out here. I know you care about this. So you're going to vote yes, and we're going to ask you to do a few more things. Go to voteyesonpropkk.com and learn more. Donate, support, tell your friends, post on social media, thank an advocate, support a survivor, and let's do the work together. The march ends now, but the work starts here.
Okay, so we all have our homework and our assignments.
Yes.
So yes, take what you have learned today back out into your community, with your friends, with your family, with your networks. So again, I want to say thank you for being here and joining us today. It's been a beautiful day.